Cleveland Indians announced they signed Terry-Francona to yet another contract extension. I don't know if it's his third one or his fourth one. It goes to 2022. And I just want fans to think about something for a moment. If the Cleveland Indians were as messed up as some fans think they are, why is a future Hall of Fame manager, one of the most elite managers in the game, keep signing these extensions? In fact, I even asked Terry-Francona that in spring training. He had to know he was signing yet another extension. At that point, he was under contract through 19 and 20. And I said, well, why do you stay here or whatever? Because it's a lower budget team. The attendance tends to be lower. He said that, he kept talking about it's the people. The people I work for, the people are a competitive advantage. This sounds like a bunch of cliches. He was talking about baseball culture. But the fact is, before Terry-Francona came here the previous 4 years, they averaged 93 losses per season. And that's 69 wins. Since he's come here, the last 6 years, they haven't had a single losing season. They've had 4 trips to the playoffs, Central Division title the last 3 years in a row. It isn't all just Francona, but it was Francona sizing up the front office with Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff and sizing up ownership, thinking I could work for this guy because this owner's grandson or this owner's nephew is not going to walk in the middle of a team meeting and say, I have this pitcher in my fantasy league, and you ought to really get this guy. By the way, I've had 2 different executives from other teams tell me where they work somewhere else that something similar to that happened, where they're actually having like a meeting and the owner will say, well, my grandson says he has this team in the fantasy league and you really ought to maybe get that guy. And Francona had a lot of issues in Boston at the end, which led to him basically being fired. They tried to he quit, but he really was fired. And that was a high budget operation, and then he comes here. So I guess what I'm saying is, number one, not that Francona is a perfect manager, but 2, he is an elite manager. 3, if he were to go on the open market, 10 teams, who knows how many teams would want to hire him. And yet, in effect, he, picked Cleveland. And in a sense, too, I think he likes the idea that I could actually, he calls it pure baseball, just do the job the way I feel it can be done. Now, it's very important on the other end that the Indians have a strong manager with a big reputation like Terry-Francona because, they are a new age front office. By that I mean, driven by statistics and analytics and all those things you hear. They still talk about some stats that I don't even understand what they are. But Francona could sit in the room and say, you may have your numbers over there, but that guy's an idiot. That guy won't fit. Or this guy, maybe his numbers aren't as good. For example, Rajai Davis was one of those guys. Maybe his numbers aren't that good, but Rajai Davis makes us better. I can't put a number on it. I could just tell you I know it when I see it. And also, Terry-Francona mentioned to me, I asked him down at Goodyear, I said, well, we were talking about the rumors about trading starting pitchers. And he goes, no, I never thought we were going to trade one. I said, really? He said, no. And he talked about how he'd rather have strong pitching and good hitting. And I suddenly realized maybe the front office might have been a little more interested in trading a starting pitcher than Terry-Francona, but unless there was an overwhelming deal, it wasn't going to happen because they respect their manager enough to maybe listen to him. And whereas I think the previous managers, whether it was Manny Atka, Eric Wedge, some of those others, they didn't have the same clout as Francona. So if you're an Indians fan, this is a good day for you. Francona's staying through 2022, and that front office managerial combination that has had 6 winning seasons in a row, 4 trips to the playoffs, remains in place.